Welcome back to my channel, Meg Guruji. So today we're diving into the exciting world of cloud computing. I'll give a brief introduction what is cloud computing is all about, and then we'll know the benefits of it, and then we'll get a fair idea how what is the cloud computing is all about. So let's unpack the cloud and understand how it's shaping our digital age. Now, so before we get into the nitty gritty, let's start with the basics. Okay, so what exactly is called cloud computing? Well, let's imagine something. Okay, let's imagine having an access to a virtual pool of computing resource that can be accessed anytime, anywhere over the internet. So, in our traditional on-premises server, we have a data center. We need to set up a data center, and then we need to provision everything, all the infrastructure, and then we can have our application deployed in it, and then we can give access to that application to the entire world or the limited audience, whatever we require. But in contradiction to that, in cloud computing, all those stuffs, the setting up the infrastructure, everything will be done by somebody else, and I will rent some place inside that data center, and whatever is required, server or something, I will get it from them with the in exchange of some money. So that is what is actually the cloud computing. So delivery of on-demand computing service over the internet. That's the cloud computing. And we have the remote access to the server, storage, database, networking software, means all the resources from that cloud environments, which will not be inside my database but somebody else's big database, where a lot of people will be having the rent there. So it's like a big apartment, and then everybody, a lot of people has having rented their place in a small apartment inside that big house. Okay, so this is like that. And then we don't need to own and manage physical infrastructure. It will be managed by them, the cloud providers, the popular cloud providers, and I will just rent some whatever the resource I need. I will just, it's like I will not buy an entire house to live, okay, but because I don't need that much of space to for my accommodation, I will, what I'll do, I'll set up a big house, big apartment, and then inside that building I will have small apartments inside that, and I'll just take a rent on that apartment for my accommodation. It's analogous to that. Let's move into the next part. Okay, so cloud service model. So we have different kind of cloud service model in, it's present now. The first model is infrastructure as a service. So the beauty of cloud computing lies in three key service models. So let's take a quick look at each one of them. Okay, so with infrastructure as a service, you can rent a virtual machine, storage, and network on demand. It's like having your own virtual data center, but without the hassle of managing the physical. You don't need to take the hassle of managing all those physical stuffs. Okay, it will be taken care by somebody else. I'll just take a rent of that particular resources, whatever I read, and I will pay only that part of my money. For whatever I am going to use it, I will be using it. I'll pay for that part only. Okay, that's called infrastructure as a service. Okay, and now next is the platform as a service. It's platform as a service, a platform for developers to build, deploy, and manage application without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. So everything taken care by the cloud computing provider, and only what my developers will be worrying about is that they will deploy their code, and here you go, we have the application running in place. Okay, we don't need to think about all the underlying infrastructure. So it allows developers to focus solely on the coding and innovations, and they don't need to think about the managing or maintaining the infrastructure, provisioning of the infrastructure. What will happen if my capacity is not that much and it's not able to think comply with the extra load that is coming. So we don't need to think about. They will only think about the solely on the coding and innovation, and that which is actually directly related to my business. Okay. Now, the third is the software as a service. So, software as a service is ready to use software application, just like Gmail. We have the Gmail application in my phone or in my computer, where I just go and search. I'll do the services like the checking my mails, and sending mails, receiving mails, all the stuffs, and it is underlying server provisioning of the server. It's physical infrastructure of Gmail, and the software that is running the Gmail. I don't need to think about that. So that's called software as a service. Now, so we have now a fair idea of the different service models of the cloud. Now we'll go to the next section, which is like the benefit of the cloud. So let's talk about the benefit of the cloud computing. One of the major advantages is scalability. The cloud allows businesses and individuals to scale their computing resources up or down based on their needs, making it highly flexible and cost effective. Like, suppose I have hosted an application, and now I don't have any idea that how popular it's going to be. I don't have any forecast of that. So what I'll do, I'll provision my software in cloud with some capacity that I can pay, I can afford, and after that, after a few days, if the demand increases, I can increase the capacity with a few clicks, and if the demand is not that much, I can and deprovision some of the resources, and I can scale down to comply with the lowered demand. Okay, so that way we can manage my cost as well. In the traditional way of computing, in the on-premises cases, where I need to provision my data center once only, I need to pay for everything, and after that, if it's a flop case, then I don't have any option uh, to 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 provision down those things, because it's already physical things that I have already bought and I have already paid for that. So that is the one of the main advantage of the cloud computing. Next is the cost efficiency. It's actually the same thing I have already explained as part of the first point. So we have the cost efficiency as I'm actually going to pay for the amount of resources that I'm using. Okay, it's on-demand resources that I'm paying only for that on-demand resources. Okay, now reliability and availability. Cloud service providers often have the redundant systems and backups mechanism in place to ensure that your data and applications are accessible even in the face of hardware failure, in case of hardware failure or natural disaster. So they have their different places in regions in the entire globe. They have different places. They have put their data centers, and they have their backups and the copy of their application running in different part of the world. So one place, if it's having a disaster, unfortunate disaster, then the other region will be okay, and then my website can be accessible from there. So that's why they can ensure the reliability and availability of my application, and I don't need to provision my on-premises database in different part of the world to make it an availability. So it's a big thing. It's a big achievement that I can get from the cloud computing. Next part is the operational excellence, where we are saying about the infrastructure as a code. So when I'm saying an infrastructure means the servers where I'm deploying my application, and its different services inside the servers. So that's the infrastructure. And code is like something we are writing some logics in a stipulated way, in a stipulated syntax, and once it is compiled, when it's running, then it will give me some output. So when I'm saying infrastructure as a code, that means I'll be writing some code which will create some servers or infrastructure or services somewhere else in the world, and then it will be created automatically. I can provision a server with a few line of code. That's called infrastructure as a. That's pretty cool, right? That's a cool idea actually. So with the cloud computing technology, we can do that, and everything we can create as a code. Okay, so in that way we can have an excellence in operational things to manage the servers and provisioning, deprovisioning, scaling up, scaling down, everything I can do with it as a code. Now the common cloud services. So there are different type of cloud services that is there out there. We can use those use cases like infrastructure service. Suppose I need some virtual machines, storage, networks, those infrastructure, and then I'll put my application and other softwares there, and then I'll put my application on top of that. That I can also do as an infrastructure service. I can take the virtual machines only from the cloud vendors. Next is the storage service. The storage service means, like, suppose I'm just giving an example of that. Suppose I have an on-premises data center where I have my physical server in my office, and then in my own data center. Now, what I want to do is that I want to keep my backup of that particular data center in somewhere in a safe place where it can be accessed whenever it is required in case of disaster or something, and I can have access to that backup, and from where I can again restore those backups, and again I get back my on-premises server running up and running. So that way, that particular backup location, as a backup location, we can use the cloud storage where I can put my backup, and so that it can be accessed in case of disaster. Next, the database service. Database service, you all know about that. They're for all the cloud vendors, they are providing a lot of managed database services. Wherever you name anything, and it's all available as a managed service in the cloud. Like it's a relational database, document database, everything. Everything is it. It's present already in the cache, elastic cache database. Everything is present already as a managed service by all the cloud vendors. Okay. Next is the application service. So application service means they have already have the platform to host different kind of application, if be it a web application, or it's maybe a Kubernetes or a Docker service. Everything is already present as a platform, and you just need to deploy your application on top of those platform, and then your application will be running, and everything else will be managed by the cloud vendors. You don't need to worry about anything at all. So that's all about the application services. Now, the next big thing is the artificial intelligence and machine learning services. Those are also present now in all the popular cloud providers. They already have the pre-built AI models and tools for the developers. You can work on that. You can create your own models also, and can run with the data sets you have, and you can train the models with that. So everything you can do, and with lots of features as a software as a service, platform as a service, everything is present for AI and ML. Okay. Now, so that's the basic thing about the cloud computing, and that's just a beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg only. So after that, we'll be going deep into this each and every topic, and we'll explore the other cloud vendors, the popular cloud vendors, how, what are the services they are doing, they have available in the market, and how we can make use of it, and how we can have the benefit of the cloud for different vendors. And again, we'll have different sessions, and in the coming episodes, where we'll uh, have an explanation or the guidance of the different certifications that is provided by the different cloud vendors, and the new things that will be coming, and everything I will explain there in the coming episodes. So that's it for our introduction to cloud computing, and in future we'll explore specific use cases, dive deeper into the different cloud providers, and discuss emerging trends also. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you like the video, just click the like button, and then and don't forget to click on the bell icon so that you will get the notification whenever we'll publish a new video on different tech topics. Thank you. Bye from Make Guruji.